That's not it. Okay. Yeah.
There's not much that you have to put up.
Okay. Test. This is the news. Okay, there. Hi out there in the narthex. We can hear you laughing at us.
Just real quick, I want to make sure the live stream.
Hey.
Reverend Joanna, how do you hear?
'Twas brilliant in the slide.
Good morning and welcome to Live Oak. Please rise in body or spirit for our gathering hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Good morning and welcome to all of you brave souls who came out during this Arctic blast, and for those not so brave souls at home who are nonetheless very beloved. Good morning and welcome. I'm Reverend Joanna. In this sacred space, we gather as one, celebrating the tapestry of our diversity, honoring the boundless love that unites us all. Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church is unambiguously, unapologetically progressive, and our doors swing wide to embrace all who seek a welcoming place where we celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community, where we know that every identity is a divine expression of humanity, where we commit to the work of dismantling systemic racism and other oppressions, striving for a world where equity, compassion, and justice are the cornerstones of our shared existence. May our worship today be a source of inspiration, a wellspring of courage, and a call to action. Welcome, dear friends, to this place of love, acceptance, and progress.
My name is Catherine Enyart, and I want to give a special welcome to any visitors we have today, in person or online. If you haven't already, I encourage you to stop by our visitors table in the narthex, right back there, after the service to sign up for our weekly email newsletter so we can meet you and answer any questions you may have. Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal faith. There are no doctrines you have to agree with in order to belong. Instead, we are held together by covenant, our promises to each other in this church and within our religious tradition. Please join me in these words from our historic faith. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We unite with you churches around the world by lighting our flaming chalice, the symbol of our religion. Today, Carolyn Dower will be lighting our chalice. Lindy Dower. Here and at home, we light it today with these words by Unitarian Universalist Worship Associate Anastasie Biroche. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls and people. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, in us, is an invitation to sit at the table. May we tend to our soul fire through these challenging and trying times to open the hearts and minds of all who enter our doors.
when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed.
A reading from A House for Hope, The Promise of Progressive Religion for the 21st Century by John Burens and Rebecca Parker. Every theological house has its doorway, its point of entrance and departure. We now come toward the end of this book to the doors of our theological house. Thresholds are sacred places, symbolizing the permeable boundary between a community's inner circle and the wider world. They mark the importance of movement between shelter and adventure, of arriving home and of setting out. They invite reflection on the relationship between those inside and those outside a given framework of meaning. How do we regard the other who is outside our theological house? And what does it mean to be one theological house in a world of many religions? These questions fall into the classic theological topic of missiology, mission, and evangelism. One familiar Christian approach frames outsiders as non-believers who need to be saved. From this perspective, there is only one true household of faith, and the mission of the religious community is to make all outsiders into insiders, to convert and assimilate the other. Another perspective is possible. A theological house can be a place of hospitality to any who seek its shelter. It can honor religious diversity and welcome creative exchange among multiple religious practices and perspectives. It can greet the other as a holy guest and urge its own residents to venture out to engage with the world. This is the way of progressive faith. An open door stands at the threshold of our theological house, its door sill well worn by comings and goings. Thus ends our reading.
For the past 31 years, Live Oak has been a beacon of acceptance, love, and inclusivity in an area where our values often challenge the status quo. In a world where divisiveness and intolerance seem to grow stronger, we firmly believe in the transformative power of our faith and the positive impact we're having in our area. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain this church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large and small, is appreciated and carefully used in service to our mission. This congregation is owned by the members themselves. Each UU congregation is an independent organization, self-funded and self-governed. Our stewardship team will now give us an update.
Hi, I'm Joel Berkue. I'm the head of the stewardship team and then also the president of Live Oak UU. Thank you. So when we looked at at the congregational meeting in December, we talked about the need for increased pledges. And again, this is to cover cost increases that will happen over the course of the year, and also paying fair wages to our staff as well. Well, I could tell you from the good news that's out there, we've actually already have had increased pledges. In fact, thank you. First off, I know I have here on the slide, we've met 25% of our goal. Actually, that's incorrect. We've now met 34% of our goal. And our goal is to have an increase of $47,000 pledge over from 2023. One thing I also want to note is you're going to get, if you haven't already received it, we've sent letters to everybody about the costs that are involved and what we're asking the congregation to do. And we're asking everybody to level up. And so I know that it's kind of hard to see on this screen, unfortunately, but if you look that, you know, there's certain percentages that donate in certain bands. And what we're asking people to do is to maybe get to the next pie frame as well. Again, you'll see more information in the mailer that's coming out, but then also we also have a representative from the stewardship team that's going to be talking about it. You can ask them more questions about increasing your pledge, and then also she has information on increasing your pledge, and you can fill it out today if you'd like to as well. So look right as you enter the narthex, you'll see Sue Buckley, and she'll be hanging out there as well. So thank you very much.
Let this time of offering be a reflection of our shared commitment to making a positive impact on the world, and a reminder that our Unitarian Universalist values guide us not only in our beliefs, but also in our actions. Thank you for your presence and your contributions to our ongoing journey of building the beloved community here and in our wider parish.
A storybook I want to share today, and I wonder if I have any friends that want to come down to the front and sit, or did they stay snuggled in their beds? I will say, being from Florida, I find this cold to be challenging. So I'm going to stand up here. Do I have any friends that want to come up? Oh, yeah, I see some coming from the back. And Apollo's here. So let's sing. Let's do a story. So, come on, Paulo. Come sit down. You're going to stay in a chair where it's warmer? I am going to share with you a story today called A Door Made for Me. Hello, friend. Good morning. And it is written by Taylor Merritt. And I didn't think through about holding a mic and holding a book. Here, come sit beside me. There you go. And that way our friend can see the pictures, because the illustrations in this book are absolutely gorgeous. So I watched our house with its bright blue door get smaller and smaller as we drove away. He looks kind of sad. I wonder why he's sad. I didn't want to spend the summer at my grandparents' house. I didn't know anyone there. What would I do? Who would I play with? Oh, that's why he's sad. Mom said it would work out, but I didn't believe her until I met Jack. And there's Jack right there on the bicycle. Jack and I spent our time outside, only heading in to eat and sleep. Mostly we hunted for night crawlers and fished in the river. I had never fished before, and I had never hunted worms. Have any of you ever hunted worms? No? Yeah, some people have. Some people haven't. I wasn't interested in touching any critter known for crawling out of the ground at night. Ooh, but Jack showed me that they weren't so bad. Right? Usually we only caught a few fish, but one day we caught 3 buckets full. You're getting really good at this, Jack beamed. And as the sun started to go down, we scooped up our buckets and headed home. That's a lot of fish, isn't it? It's a lot of fish. When we got to our road, Jack walked right by. Where are you going? I asked. Do you see how many fish we caught? We got to show everybody. Come on. It won't take long. I shrugged and I followed him. So they're going to go show off all their fish. We went house to house, knocking on doors, asking if Jack's friends would come out. At the first house, a large man told us Jack's friend couldn't come out as the door quickly closed. The second house was the same. We couldn't go in. No one came out. And suddenly, my stomach started doing flips. What's going on, I wondered. Why won't Jack's friends come outside and see our fish? He sounds really confused. We figured we'd try one last time. We walked up to a house with a beautiful wooden door. I knocked, and we waited patiently until the door swung open slowly. A woman towered above us, frowning. Another adult, I thought, and she doesn't look happy. I wonder why she's not happy. Jack asked if his friend could come out. The woman shook her head and pointed at Jack. You can come in. But that little black boy, he needs to stay outside. Wow. I wonder what you would do. I felt all the air leave my body as Jack walked inside to show off the fish we had caught together. I'll be right back, he promised. The door shut tight behind Jack, followed by the loudest lock I had ever heard. Whew. I turned and I left, my share of the fish baking in the hot sun. I couldn't stop thinking about the slam of that door and the click of the lock. I had already walked through lots of doors. The glass double doors of my school, the bright blue one of my house, the impossibly heavy one at my grandparents' place. I didn't understand. Why had this door slammed shut at the sight of me? I think he's feeling really sad. What do you think? And confused, yeah. When I walked into the house, I sat on the floor. Grandpa sat beside me. What's wrong? He said. I told him the whole story. And he shook his head and he said, I wish this didn't still happen, especially not to you, Tyler. But why did it, I asked. How can she hate me when she doesn't even know me? Wow, that's a powerful question, isn't it? Grandpa sighed. I wish I knew. In life, there are many doors, but some people don't want to see us walk through them. It can be for any reason, the way you're dressed, the twists and curls of your glorious hair, or even the beautiful mahogany of your skin. It won't make sense. You might feel angry or sad, and that's okay. But remember, sweet boy, you are loved. You are perfect, just the way you are. Another person's hate doesn't change that. Another person's hate doesn't change you. You are still perfect. You'll find a door that's right for you. And when you do, be sure to leave it open for the next kid struggling to get in. I kept on catching fish that summer, and Grandpa taught me how to clean them and fry them up. I was still sad about the woman who slammed the door in my face. And I missed playing with Jack. And there he is fishing with his cooking. I wonder why they're not playing together anymore. That's a great question. He came by once, Jack came by once, to see if I wanted to catch night crawlers together. I told him no. I didn't hate Jack, but it was hard to stay friends after what he did. Grandpa told me not to give up on Jack. He said, I know it hurts, but he's still learning, and I think he'll be a better friend to you someday. I hoped he was right. Yeah. And there's Jack riding by on his bike, if you see in the back. Not a lot of doors opened for me that summer. It wasn't right, and it wasn't fair, but I knew there were more doors waiting just around the corner. I would find a door for me. I'd open it myself and hold it wide for whoever wanted to come in behind me. And that's the end of the story. This is a true story written by the author, Tyler Merritt, who talks about how Jack learned that when you don't close the door behind on your friends, that you hold the door wide and you keep the circle open and you invite everyone in. And Jack became a much better friend after that summer. So thank you. Thank you, Apollo. Thank you for coming and listening. And with that, our story is told.
Please rise as you're willing and able for hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Feel the deep power, green in all.
Charlie Pride was the first and for a long time the only black country music star. And he got his start in the 1960s. Chet Atkins, who was a fellow musician and a record producer, was one of the people who advocated for him to get a record deal, and he did with RCA. So in 1966, when RCA was sending out his first single to all of the radio stations, they declined to do one thing that they normally did. This time they did not include his photo. They suspected, and I think rightly so, that country music stations hated controversy and would not play his record if they knew that he was a black artist. Some of the station managers also might have simply been racist. But he was an amazing, gifted musician, and so the DJs started playing his single, and it got a lot of airplay. And then you had these music clubs that started booking him in gigs. And often when he would show up to the venues, that was their first time to realize that he was African American. Even after he managed to get in the door of these clubs, he would have to face a honky-tonk full of white country music fans. And so he did what people with less privilege often are forced to do, and that was he took it upon himself to try and manage their anxiety. And he would often do it through jokes that today we would find cringeworthy. I mean, I think they were cringeworthy even then. Jokes like, now, don't y'all worry. I've just got a permanent tan from picking cotton down in Mississippi. And then he'd say something like, now let's listen to some good country music. So he had quite a barrier in pushing his way through this door. There were some white country music colleagues of his who aligned themselves with him. And one was Loretta Lynn. In about 1971, Charlie Pride was receiving an industry award. And Loretta was told that when it was time for him to come up and get the award, because she was the one presenting it, for her to just kind of, separate herself, kind of back away, not be too close to him, her being a white woman and all. It might offend some of her fans. Loretta Lynn, when the spotlight was on both of them, marched over to Charlie Pride and just enfolded him in a giant bear hug and gave him a kiss. Now, she was not the first to do so. A couple of years earlier, kind of to one-up this, Willie Nelson was already in the late 60s. Willie Nelson had already, he had moved from being that clean-shaven artist who just did not work for Nashville. He'd come back home to Texas, and he had a passionate following already in his home state, both hippies and rednecks. They would talk about that. And so he and Charlie Pride were playing at the Double D Jamboree Music Festival in Dallas. And so when they were on the same stage together, Willie Nelson walked right over to Charlie Pride, and he gave him a giant kiss on the lips. It was his way of making it clear to his fans, his expectation, that you will listen to and appreciate Charlie Pride's music. Of course, Willie being Willie, when asked about it later, he just kind of laughed and said, I was just trying to cut the tension. I'm sure kissing him on the lips did that. This month, we are talking about missiology. And the missiology of Unitarian Universalism. And missiology is the branch of systematic theology that deals with the whole question of mission. and how we are going to be out in the world, how we are going to engage the people who are not Unitarian Universalists. Now, if you happen to grow up evangelical Christian, the missiology of that faith was really clear. Conversion, right? We go into the world, we find people who do not believe the same things we do, and we convince them to be like us. And this is how you will be saved. That is not the missiology of Unitarian Universalism. As UU theologian Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker says, she was part of that reading that you heard earlier, our missiology does not call us to convert our neighbors, but to embrace them, learn from them, and support them. This has always been part of the missiology of Unitarian Universalism, going back to our earliest history. So the Unitarians and the Universalists did not consolidate until 1961. Both of these were separate, what they considered to be Christian denominations, starting in the late 1700s, early 1800s. And they always had this sort of pull towards expansiveness and open-mindedness and open-heartedness. In 1841, Unitarian Theodore Parker scandalized the people of his time, including many Unitarians, when he gave a sermon called "The Transient and the Permanent in Christianity." And in this sermon, he said that there were permanent truths, things that existed on their own merit in religion. And there were also transient, temporary doctrines and rituals and practices and stories, and that we needed to be clear at knowing which was which. And again, this was 1841, and this was a Christian denomination. And he went so far as to say that these truths that we had in our religion were not dependent on the authority of Jesus, that they existed of their own value. He said it would be like trying to say that the geometry theorems of Euclid rested on the authority of Euclid. Well, no, of course they don't. They stand and they are permanent because they are true. And that it's the same with our religious values, our religious truths. And he said that even if there came a day where Jesus was not significantly a part of the religion, that those values would still be there. And now in 2024, when Unitarian Universalism, the vast majority of UUs do not identify as Christian, I think that we can say he was completely correct. But at that time, it was incredibly controversial, and he was banned from many Unitarian pulpits. Now, the Universalists also had this pull toward expansiveness and love. And for them, it was because, they believed in universal salvation. They believed that the very nature of God was love, and that all people, no matter what, no matter their religion, no matter their culture, they were equally loved by God. So the transient nature was in people themselves, in our differences, and that there was something greater that united us all. And they took for themselves the goal of, well, if God loves everybody, maybe we should try and do that too. So on both sides, we've had this missiology, and we still do today. One of the big questions, though, is how we do it. We've always had this goal. We've always worked towards this goal, but we have done it quite imperfectly. And part of that is because we have always had the significant barrier, as all people do, of our own privilege. It is so difficult for any of us to become aware of things that are outside our own experience, especially if we are surrounded by people who share our experiences. And both the Unitarians and the Universalists were predominantly white, and on the Unitarian side, they were often the intellectual elite of society. And that can make it very difficult to be able to truly understand outside of that experience and to have the humility of understanding that our experience is not a universal experience, and our experience is not some sort of universal truth. And where there's a really good example of that is this book. It was put out in 1966. It's called When Brucey Came to Play and Other Stories, and it was put out by the Unitarian Universalist Beacon Press. And I will tell you, it's a book for children, and I will tell you, if I gave you the book right now, practically, when I first looked at it, I was like, it's pretty innocuous. There's nothing glaring in this. It's more subtle than that. As Dr. Mark Morrison Reed says in Revisiting the Empowerment Controversy, Black Power and Unitarian Universalist, in here there are a couple of stories of James. James is, he's a main character, and he is a little black boy. His family is moving from an apartment in a diverse neighborhood to a house in a neighborhood that, from the illustrations, is obviously less diverse. Farley Wheelwright, in commenting on these stories, said that they, quote, mostly illustrated black children playing with white in lovely white suburban settings. Race was never mentioned, but the message was clear. Integration meant being nice to black kids as they assimilated into white culture. So our kids were taught, this thing with the wonderful story that Chris taught, that Chris was sharing, this story of, the child who just walks through the door and leaves his friend outside. Even in the 60s, we were being clear that was not the way. The problem, again, was we were still seeing everything through a white lens, and even our understandings of integration brought in this idea that other people would assimilate into what we were and what we are. And it's really hard, again, when we can't see past our own privilege. I got a reminder of this last week because I made a mistake, big mistake. Those of you who were here, or those who weren't here, we had our annual fire communion. I've been doing this for 8 or 9 years. And we invite everyone to write something on a little piece of special magician's paper, something that they want to let go of, and they come over to the chalice and they dip it in, and you go like this, and it just disappears, no ash or anything. It's very cool. Again, I've been doing this 8 or 9 years here, and so I knew all the things to do to keep everyone safe, to make sure that everyone knew, don't stand over here, don't stand behind someone, those of you over here, step back. And it was only when I was watching y'all that I realized all of that preparation that I had done to keep everyone safe was predicated on everyone being like me in one way. Right-handed. I apologize to those of you who are left-handed. Because I am right-handed, because the majority of people are right-handed, it simply had not occurred to me to think through, hey, if you're asking people to get their fingers this close to a flame, they're going to use their dominant hand, and then they're going to fling it away from themselves. They're certainly not going to fling it across their body. So there we had people standing right here waiting for the next session, and here the left-handers were smarter than I were. They were very careful about it. I'll do better next year. This is the thing with privilege. It often means that not only do we not see the experience of others, we can't even fully be aware of our own experience because we just see it as neutral, as universal. Now, Willie Nelson has this great quote, almost like he had read today's story. Friends don't walk through the doors that are denied to their friends. And let me be really careful. Let me be really explicit. In these stories with Loretta Lynn and with Willie Nelson, the hero of these stories is Charlie Pride. He's the one who had to push through these doors and hold it open for Darius Rucker and all the others who would come after him in country music. He is the hero. But when someone is having to bang on those doors, because we all have different privileges, right? And there are doors that we can walk through or that we are welcomed to walk through that others aren't. But when someone has to bang on those doors, they shouldn't have to bang on them alone. And our friends will remember. Tomorrow's MLK Day, and Martin Luther King Jr. famously said that it's not going to be the words of our enemies that we remember, but the silence of our friends. Our friends will remember our silence, and they will also remember when we were not silent.
Oh.
How you doing?
I got your back, huh? I've been wanting to do that for so many years.
Oh, I know you have.
I invite you now to join me in a time of reflection in word and in silence. May we become aware of what has often been invisible to us. The doors that open for us but not another. The welcoming smiles for us that turn to frowns for others. The change in tone when we are greeted pleasantly, but another's welcome is dull, perfunctory. The careful language, the dog whistles, that shield bigotry with deniability. May we turn down our automatic laughs and smiles that we don't really mean, that we give reflexively as nice people when jokes are told that demean others. May we ask the hard questions about who is allowed to sit at the table where we are included. May we position ourselves with those with less privilege. And when a door is denied to our friend, may we refuse to go in, turn our heel, and walk away together. Let us hold that for a moment together in sacred stillness. Amen, and blessed be. Would you join me with these words? When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. This community is a chosen village where our lives are interconnected. And part of the tapestry of this communal journey is sharing the significant milestones, joys, and sorrows in our lives and witnessing the diversity that we hold. One of us may be celebrating a life event while another is mourning a grief. And there's a beauty in that mosaic as we are reminded that these moments of life are transient and ever-changing. And today, Quint Troutwine shares, I was honored as PE Panther of the Week at school on Friday. And Elliot Jasper shares, I'm excited to share that I've reached 5 months of sobriety and I really like being sober. And we have a sad bit of information to share that one of our members is having a very difficult time. Rob Sarton, many of you know, had surgery recently, and his recovery has hit a bump. He's back in the hospital because of a stroke. This is not a time to, unless you are very close, this is not a time for phone calls, but if you could keep the family in your thoughts, and as we find out ways that we can help them, we will let you know. May this community draw closer with our shared experiences as we celebrate life's triumphs and navigate its trials together. As I said before, the missiology for evangelical Christianity is to say, come and be like us and you will be saved. I think that it falls to all of us to make sure that, no, of course we wouldn't do that theologically, but do we culturally, do we through those things that we cannot even be aware of but because of our own privilege, do we also say, come, we welcome you, and be like us. I saw something that gave me hope this week. Did anyone happen to watch or hear about the Golden Globes last week? So for those who don't know, there was a lot of attention because there was a comedian who, in his opening monologue, made a pretty sexist joke. Here's what gives me hope. People didn't laugh. There was a laugh track, but if you look at the faces, no one was laughing along with it. And I'm not sure that that would have happened even 5 years ago. Things are changing, and part of it means that we need to question our instinct to be nice, because sometimes simply not being nice is one of the best affirmations we can give to trying to fight oppression. Please be safe this week, please be warm, and may the spirit of love go with you.
And now for our invitation to our Faith Development Hour this morning. We have a lot of different things going on. So if you're interested in exploring membership, the Exploring Membership group will be meeting in the library at 11:15. And it's to answer all your questions about membership. In room 105, we have the JEDI group, which is Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, who will be facilitating the anti-racist deck questions, the discussion group. And the questions are from Ibram Kendi. Yes. And it's a way for you to explore further and deeper our deconstructing of white supremacy within ourselves and in society. Also, in the fellowship hall, there are questions, tabletop questions. So if you're not going into one of those classes, grab a cup of coffee, have a seat at a table, and use those discussions to start a discussion within your table about the sermon today. All the kids, because there's not that many of us today, we're going to meet in 209, and we're going to hang out together and get to know each other better. So we encourage you to grab a cup of coffee and engage where you feel most comfortable. Thank you.
Please join me in extinguishing our chalice. Thank you, Lindy. With these words by Unitarian University Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Let us leave this service with renewal in our spirit and a song in our heart. Please rise for number 368. Now let us sing.
Hello, okay.
Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the love within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within. Thank you.
It has been a gift to be together today. Please spend the next 5 minutes talking with someone you don't know. Show them where the visitors table and the coffee are, and may we all know the blessings of friendship.